Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of The Cheer Guys, where we get down with everybody in the cheerleading industry and talk about what's going on. We're talking about championships. We're talking interviews with coaches and gyms and colleges all over the country and the world. I'm Daniel Satterfield. I'm your host, and just a quick word from our sponsor, Coachable, the app that allows coaches to log in, create a profile, and get paid for their knowledge. Any sport, any athletes around the world can log into a Coachable profile and find coaches in their sport where they can send analysis of their videos and get in-app purchased feedback to them along the way. Go check it out at coachable-app.com. I am joined today now in our champion series with my co-host, Mr. Chase Brett. Chase, talk to us about what we're doing today, man.
And yeah, we're here with another champion episode, reaching out to these different programs that just competed at a large college championship down in Orlando. And we reached out to them because they went out there and they accomplished the goal, which was getting that national title. And so today we are very blessed to have not only a special guest, but also a special friend of mine. We did staff together. We've known each other for more years than we care to put out there into the public because that'll age us. But thank you so much for joining us today, Mr. Brandon Prince. We appreciate you.
Hey, what's going on, guys? Thank you so much for having me on today. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, we're glad to have you. So, man, you coming off the high of just now it's been about 2 weeks ago, going down and winning that national title. I want to get into that, but really just a little bit. The first thing we want to do is we want to know a little bit about you and your history with the Bama program, with the all-girl program. Just who you are and how you kind of came to be there, and then the history from there.
First of all, gosh, it goes back to me cheering. I mean, simply at Alabama. So being there for 4 years, awesome. And just learning from being coached by Brian Groeschel was an awesome experience. And he was there and cheered for a long time. And then after that, I graduated, moved to Birmingham. I was in pharmaceutical sales. Then I met Happy Hooper, my husband. So that's kind of where we were in cheer together with Ace Cheer Company. And then about 4 years after graduating, some things were changing at the university. They were starting an all-girl program, and I was interested in the job. And in 2011, that's kind of where we first started with the all-girl program, because in the state of Alabama, there's so many talented all-girl teams. But to go to Alabama, you had to either make one of the co-ed teams, and so those things kind of changed, and we were seeing a change and a shift in pace. So it was really nice to work with some of the all-girl teams and work in UCA staff during the summers. That was great experience. And I also worked with a lot of high school teams doing choreography. Bob Jones High School was kind of, the one that I worked with the most. So it was really awesome.
Yeah, and that's a good, feeder in, like you said, and keeping that talent in the state. And having that all-girl opportunity. I can't believe it's been over 10 years that program's been rocking and rolling, man. You have really built something amazing there. So let's get into it, bro. Tell us about this year. You've done it before, but this year's special. And let's talk about the win and what it took to get there and how special it was.
Oh, gosh.
all that up, yeah.
The journey of the process. It's also awesome. And just to experience it with the kids that work so hard and giving so much, just going through the season, first of all, having sports back in, like we're on the court for volleyball, for basketball, for football, on the field. So that whole journey itself was just amazing, but yet and still teaching so many people, because we have 2 grades that never even cheered on the football field or were on the basketball court. You're not only teaching your game day, which is what we pride ourselves off of Alabama and the tradition and cheering. So that journey itself was huge and took a little longer than usual because you have less people, knowing what's going on. But getting started with national seasons is pretty awesome. It gets a little intense for the girls, but for me, it's just, going step by step and moving one day at a time. And so once you do that, you kind of get through it, get there, and dealing with COVID, it's a whole nother issue. So I was
Right.
also learning how to navigate and coach through that. And I mean, hats off to every single coach in every program everywhere on any level for
real.
sticking with it and being positive for the kids. But we ended up getting down to the point right about 2 weeks before national. We're testing, our protocols are great with the SEC and with the University of Alabama. So just things happen, and we were basically shut down for 6 days. So after that point, we're also dealing with, which is a blessing, the college football playoffs. So we're traveling, splitting up our juniors and seniors from co-ed and all girl. They're traveling to these events, going to Dallas, and then after that, coming back, you're getting your timing back. Then you go to the national championship in Indy, and it was really hard going from game to game.
I want to highlight that for just a moment, because it kind of plays into like kind of the next question we were going to get into anyway. But I had thought to myself earlier in the week, I was like, man, Bama's going to have, like, the cheerleaders are going to have not a rough week, but just an intense week, going from cheering at, the college football national championship game and having 2.5 days before you got to go to Orlando, maybe 3. So you had to come back, get like your wheels spun around and in order, and then show up in Orlando that week.
Yeah. We were shut down on Thursday or Friday. We were planning on leaving Saturday anyway for the game. The game was on Monday night. Well, we still had days, and we could not start until Wednesday night. So the national championship game on Monday, practice Wednesday night, practice Thursday morning, practice Thursday night, and then we left on Friday morning. So it was intense to be off for that amount of days and to put in the work. Once we got down there, we were practicing and competing and practicing, then competing. Like it was a lot, but it was worth it. And what the kids had to go through mentally and to be that tough, I really appreciate their strength.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's resolve, man.
Well,
and on your part as a coach, like you're sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you, Chase. Like I'm just saying, like as a coach, knowing your athletes, your athletes. You know where their mentality is, what their physical strengths and weaknesses are. You show up and you go, okay, we got 4 days off the week of the national championship.
Right.
Just that's got to be intense here.
Well, and I think you're going to find it funny when you go back and watch the episode we did with Mark Coleman, because he had a very similar story with his co-ed that won, and they had a 14-day, contamination right there close. And he said, I told him, I said, what that means is now your kids are going to come up to you every year and go, hey, coach, we need a couple of days off right before nationals to keep the tradition of winning. That's probably not going to work, but
that's not how that works.
That's definitely not how it's going to go.
Stressed out a coach, but man, what an awesome win and what a cool story to get there too. A lot of people went through that similar story, but to be able to come out on top, show up on the mat when it meant something was really, really impressive. So, well, Daniel, we're rolling into that next one is walking us through the routine a little bit. Like what's your
what walk us through your routine, like what you get, like what was the thing that you think was y'all's, everybody has a gimmick or a peak or the thing that in their routine they're the most proud of. Like what was it with these athletes and this routine this year that made it so special on the floor?
Well, first of all, our gimmick is clean, tight, sharp.
Yep.
So that's us. That's what we work on year round. That's what we do. I think once you get to the skill part, it's so engraved in their brain about not moving your legs, catching skills at the top, tight arms, that it becomes their thing. And it's our, not motto, but it's just something that we pride ourselves on day in and day night, whether you're competing on the mat or not. But going through the routine, of course, there were definitely edits and changes with so many things that we experience, and every single team is going through that. So I don't really know about a gimmick, but 2 years ago, we didn't compete last year in 21. So we changed it up, not the first team ever to do this, but we, in all girl Division 1A, we decided to do the cheer first. And that alone, I think, has kind of set a reoccurring trend, or like the styles that always come back with clothing. It's just something that people have done. I've always remember when I cheer watching Slippery Rock, like they would do the cheer
Right,
first,
yeah.
and then you just got to enjoy the routine and the skills
Yep.
and all the way through. So maybe that's our thing, but we start off with the cheer. It's what we do all the time. So it's clean, sharp, not moving, leading the crowd. You know, that it's a huge part of the score sheet. So you got to make sure it's great.
Absolutely.
So that's why I enjoy seeing it at the beginning. It kind of shows who you are. And then it's like, all right, now let's get ready to watch what else we get to do. So,
and I like that. That's the global, obviously the global concept, ICU, and then the global all-star divisions that are kind of becoming more and more popular in the world's divisions now, that they start with the cheer and then they do full music. And that's great because it's like, hey, get the crowd involved and then entertain us for a minute.
I love it.
I love it. So yeah, cool. I like that.
It's so much fun. And also I think it's great it kind of gets a little bit of nerves out. You know how to cheer. The skills you're doing in the cheer are things that, and I'm probably trying to almost selling people on how to do it and why to do it, but whatever works for you and your program.
Well,
but
here's the thing: we're old school UCA boys. Like, we're UCA trained, tried and true.
Yeah.
Like that clean, that tight. I mean, I know someone's going to watch this episode, and I'm going to piss them off a little bit when I say this, but I'm going to say it anyway. UCA trained stunts will always, in my opinion, be cleaner and tighter than NCAA trained stunts. And I know the world of cheer has gotten much bigger in the world since, like, you know, 90s and early 2000s UCA cheer. But I just have yet to see that not proven in so many ways. Now you've got some other big schools that are doing it in NCAA obviously really well, but just that tight clean that you're talking about, that you're right. That's not a gimmick. That's just good old fashioned core basic training that has to be there.
Yeah, it has to be there. I mean, it doesn't matter if your stunt's easy or hard. It's got to be, you got to have good technique and good grips and a good philosophy, because there's no right way or exact way. There's more than one way, but you got to stick to what works for you and your kids. So,
well, and I think that's a good coaching strategy. That's exactly what it is. It's a coaching strategy, just like a coach with a young quarterback is going to say, hey, this first couple of plays, we're going to hand the ball off. We're going to check it down. We're going to make him feel good. And then we'll open up the playbook. That's exactly what you got Nick Saban's mindset out there on the cheer floor. I like that.
Hey, I love the process. So it's always good. But overall, going back to your question, I mean, not really a gimmick, but I think I like to make routines with a good flow, a little bit of a variety, not everything looking the same the whole time, a good mixture. And I hope overall is really being above average on every single section. I think that probably helps us. Maybe that's our gimmick versus this year, maybe not necessarily some wow factor.
You mean smart coaching? Smart coaching. That's what that is.
It's the process that I have. I don't know about, to each its own for what's smart.
You've developed that culture and that process. And like you said earlier, that philosophy that you've installed into their brain, and kudos for that, because I'll tell you what, in the all girl world, it's really hard to make stunts. The difficulty's gotten so high. It's really hard to make stunts look good and clean and to the top. And a lot of the times they're pressed, and, it's just kind of become part of the all girl culture there because of the difficulty. You guys did a really good job of not, falling into that category and hitting your stuff tight armed and to the top. So kudos with that. What is your philosophy on, day one, not just to, obviously with the pandemic, everything going on, keeping them positive, but being tough on them, setting those expectations, all that kind of stuff. Just give us the quick rundown of that.
My day one is like, I mean, you gotta go out there and go for it, because then you can make adjustments after that. If you go out there and you hold back the first time you go, it's just hard to overcome it the next day, because you already held back. Now you're like, if I go too much, if I go too less, what do I do? And the way that I coach every day, it's go hard and go for it. I want to see you fall going after it than babying a stunt and not doing what you're taught. You just got to trust your training. So when you come off the floor, you go, okay, all right, I got it. So
I love that trust training. I love that.
Yes, mental toughness.
I like it. Well,
that's something you can put into them, and when they go on the floor, it comes out.
Yes,
You
for sure.
you said it before I could.
Sorry.
That plays out if they know you're essentially putting them in the position like, hey, go 100%, go 110%. If you fail, it's okay, because tomorrow you keep going 110% and you're just going to be that much further, as opposed to holding back and not quite knowing, you know.
Yeah.
Right. And you got to be checked in, because I'm telling you, no matter what skills you're doing, you never know nerves. We didn't get to perform multiple times. So what I trusted and what you showed me in your practices, that's what's on the mat and that's in the routine. So there's no reason to hold back. We're not doing, these super crazy skills this year. So, I mean, let's just trust your training and move forward.
I think that was smart strategy, bud. I think it was really smart. Go ahead, Daniel.
Well, as I say, the moving forward from here, I mean, we've obviously have a great history with the program, all-girl program, fresh off of a national championship title. Say congratulations every time I say that, because that's a big deal. I mean, whoever you are, that lasts, and people remember it. People will remember your routine, and none of the routines that were in that division ever again. Won't remember those, but they'll remember the year all girl won in 2022. So
correct me if I'm wrong, Daniel. Is it the divisions have been combined too since you first started, right? Like they've added more teams into the divisions where you're competing against more universities now?
I think it's more teams, because of the way they do it is with the football classification. Some schools have moved up. So that's
they've added more
that as well.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's all of that has adjusted and changed, but where do you go from here? What's the future of the program? Are we've just won our national title. So now we're already prepping for, repeat, like, say like back to back, then hey, I'm going to ask, cause I want to know, like, I know every coach has got a great team. You're already planning for the future. What's the future of the program?
The future for the program right now is prepping for experience and training and the people who may not have been able to be a part of the mat. So right now, Daniel, I mean, that's really what we're focused on. When you think too far ahead about the end result, it gets away from you, and you're worried about something that you have got so many more steps leading up to it, that we've got talented kids that maybe they weren't alternates, or maybe they weren't a part of the floor, but they're waiting and they're hungry. So that's who we're training right now.
Well, and what you just said, and I'm glad you said that. I like asking the question that way, because you've given an answer that a lot of our championship coaches have said. It's about consistency, and it's not and discipline. It's not about when you just won, you don't change the recipe for what you just did. You start back at the beginning, you get all the ingredients, and you start mixing them up for a new batch. And you've got to put some new ingredients in. New athletes are going to come in. Some of you're going to graduate some seniors. You're going to move some people around, transfers, all that. But that's consistent coaching. I think that's a huge part of being a championship program. So I'm really glad you said that the way you did.
Yeah. So mentioning that, I'm sure you have plenty of people coming up, people that are hungry to jump on there, but there's also those seniors and those juniors out there that are already starting to, touch base with you, come to your clinics, get on these, and everything's changed. Recruiting has changed. The pandemic has changed it all. And so just give us a real quick, just, if there's kids out there trying to make their way to, be able to wear that A and to Scream Roll Tide on Saturdays, what do they need to do? Start prepping for that now.
Juniors and seniors especially, we actually, February 1st, yesterday, we released our clinics. We're having 3 coming up, and I think they're almost all full right now. But you can go to BamaCheerCamps.com to go ahead and sign up and register for those clinics. And, reaching out to us or checking our website, rolltide.com, and go to Spirit Squads. And you can really find out the information of what we expect, what the skills are, and currently what most of the kids on the team, and watching our nationals routine. So you know what's expected, and you actually have the skills if you're planning on trying out. So you can be in the mix.
There you go. Yeah.
And what I tell a lot of my athletes, I've sent you several athletes, and
Yes.
I tell them all the time, I say, you're going to be competing against people just as good as you. Some of them might be better, but you have, your effort that you put in, and you have the ability to go to class and make good grades.
Yes.
And be a responsible college student, and all those things matter to coaches as well. And I also tell them, make sure to get to know the coaches, especially as a senior in high school. Brendan needs to know your name. If he doesn't know your name, he needs to at least be able to recognize your face and what you're doing out there. And so it's always a good idea to stay in touch and work.
Yeah. Especially if they can't get to a clinic, I mean, emailing us is great. If you have videos, whether it's on their social media and you want us to check it out, you don't have to do some kind of special video or reel, but if you have that, we'll look at it and check it out. To kind of let you know and give you guidance. But most of all, if you're planning on trying out at the University of Alabama and you come to a clinic, or if you're planning to try out in college, you can definitely come to our clinics. It doesn't even have to be necessary for Alabama. But we want the most well-rounded athlete, and we want the skills, we want the tumbling, we want the stunning, but also, like you said, the academics are very important. I mean, the girls on All Girl, they are like grades. They love it. They want to have a balance of, social life, school, and also cheer. So we want the most well-rounded game day cheerleader skills, and also great ambassadors for the university.
Absolutely, all the way through. And thank you so much for coming today. If there's anything else out there,
thank you
personally want to share with our viewers or the people that's going to be looking into this, an incredible all-girl program, obviously. University of Alabama, incredible in all their programs. I can see how much wisdom you have as a coach in answering these questions. Very smart. You've probably heard it from people all around you your whole life, and now it's just leaking from you, all that wisdom.
Yeah, it's all great.
Really good. I'm really proud of you. I'm glad to be your friend, and glad to have you on the show, buddy.
Yeah,
thanks,
Brandon,
I appreciate it.
Hey man, it's been a pleasure talking with you. And the thing is we've gotten kind of in the habit of trying to get in touch with a lot of championship coaches and just talking to coaches in general, man. But you know what? Everyone has their own unique differences in who they are and what they are. And from having watched your routine at nationals and known, about you through the years, being at Bama, I'm just, from both of us, I know Chase is a longtime friend, but we were really excited to be able to get you to come on with us and talk. So thank you again. Just to kind of extend, Chase's thank you to it. It's been awesome having you.
Yeah. Well, thank you. I appreciate you guys reaching out. So it's been awesome.